I realised that never in my parliamentary life have I uttered the words eating beavers, at least not in public. But then I'm no longer a member of Parliament. I'm back on the campaign trail as the Workers' Party leader and as the parliamentary candidate for Rochdale. And this is live from Rochdale. Get used to it. I'll be broadcasting from here for as long as the people want me. I was only 54 days a member of Parliament in this, my 7th candidate member of Parliament term of office. Just 54 days, but what days they were. I spoke more than any other member of Parliament over those 54 days, sometimes speaking twice in the same day, once speaking 3 times in the same day. The majority of members of Parliament don't speak 3 times in an entire calendar year. I turned the place upside down. I shook the walls, and the parliamentary evidence is there on YouTube for all to see, including my family, including those who will write my epitaph. I intend to spend just 5 more years, if God spares me, in the British Parliament. If you see what I achieved in 54 days, just imagine what I can achieve in 5 years, especially if I'm joined by a significant number of new members of Parliament for the Workers' Party, together with independents like Jeremy Corbyn, like Andrew Feinstein, like others up and down the country who are challenging the duopoly, the 2 cheeks of the same ass that have misruled us for so very long. If we get 1 member of Parliament and 150,000 votes across the country, we are elevated into the Premier League of British politics. We get state funding and we get the opportunity to initiate debates, to regularly ask questions of the Prime Minister, to table motions for voting in the House of Commons. If we get several members of Parliament and hundreds of thousands of votes, then the state funding alone per year will lift us into the Premier League, and everything becomes possible thereafter. That's why I'm applying myself with the utmost seriousness to the launch of our parliamentary challenge. We are standing 326 parliamentary candidates, at least. And that's a magic number, not just because it is the biggest ever left of Labour challenge in the entire history of British democracy, but because if every one of our candidates is elected, it is I who will be the Prime Minister of Britain. It is Craig Murray who will be our Foreign Secretary. And we are serious about this. People say, what can one man do? Well, it depends who the man is. What can Workers' Party candidates elected as MPs do? Well, it depends how many of us are elected. And how many of us are elected is up to you. It's up to the public. If you don't like the Uniparty, don't vote for it. Either cheek of the ass that is the Uniparty, which has such a track record of miserable failure and of bloodshed and waste. This is a deadly serious moment in Britain. But it is equally deadly serious in the United States, where, like a banana republic, the president of the republic is seeking to dispose of his rivals. Not yet by throwing them out of high windows, not yet by assassinating them in plain daylight, in clear view of the entire world, not yet at any case. They chose the lawfare route. They chose to send the President of the United States last time and maybe again next time to prison for paying hush money to the star of eating beavers. That's Stormy Daniels' filmography out of the way. It is not, of course, illegal to pay hush money to a hooker, to a porn actress. It is something that I've no doubt other presidents have done before. You don't have to like Donald Trump or approve of his moral behavior and character. I certainly don't do either. But the idea that the leading candidate in the American presidential race, a former president of the Republic, no less, should have been subjected to the ignominy of such a case brought by such a politicized bench, by such politicized attorneys general all over the country. Everybody else can see, if the American people cannot, that this is about preserving the presidency of Joe Biden, which has precious little worthy of being preserved. He has been the president over 4 years of absolute failure at home and of bloody war, with the prospect of even bloodier, maybe even nuclear war still to come. And yet they are desperate to give him another term, which I'm bound to tell you will be the 4th presidential term of Barack Obama. Nobody seriously believes that Joe Biden is running America. Anyone with eyes to see can see that Obama is still in charge. Obama and Hillary Clinton are the ventriloquists behind the dummy that is Joe Biden. A 4th term will probably take us into World War III. The decisions made in the White House in the last few days to allow American long-range weaponry to be used at the cities inside Russia is bound to provoke a nuclear exchange, which could escalate into an intercontinental exchange of hypersonic super nuclear weapons, each one of them 1,000 times more powerful than the one that Oppenheimer caused to explode over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That will be the end of the world. And that is the danger that we now face. So it is imperative, from my point of view, that Joe Biden is defeated. And therefore, I can only say with a mixture of disdain and disgust the idea that the president last time and maybe president next time, Donald J. Trump, should go to jail. We are running a poll on it. Will Trump go to jail? My answer is yes, he will go to jail. The question is, what will the impact be of that? Well, in the aftermath of the verdict in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial, Donald Trump raised $200 million for his campaign fighting fund. And rising, still rising. If he goes to jail, will it rise still further? If he goes to jail or is placed on an electronic tag and told not to leave the Trump Tower in New York City, what impact will all of that have on the presidential race? Joe Biden, after all, was elected president last time from his basement. Will Trump be able to repeat that feat? Or does the Trump populist style of mass rallies, where he rants and raves and goes off message so many times that one day he's the left-wing candidate, anti-war, next day he's the pro-war candidate and is ready to lock up and even deport anyone who opposes him? Which Donald Trump will fight this election campaign? And what will be the impact of his criminalization and punishment, which might include imprisonment? Of course, if they imprison Donald Trump, they have to imprison 6 Secret Service guards alongside him. That's going to take up a lot of jail space, going to provide a lot of conundrums to the American legal system. And what about the other cases that are coming down the pipe? Will they get Trump before he can get back in and get them? The Russiagate hoax, the Steele dossier, the spying on the Trump election campaign illegal, ordered by President Barack Obama. None of these ended up in indictments. And the wars that have been fought by the United States, fueled by the United States, the mass murder of, if you count them all up, 100 million people in wars and coups and counter-revolutions all over the world, these disasters that have been visited on us by one American president or another have led to no indictments. No American president has ever been indicted, tried, convicted, and possibly sent to prison, ever. Not even Richard Nixon for Watergate. Didn't face a single charge, but was forced to resign the presidency. The only one they've done this with is Donald Trump, and that must be for a reason. And here's my reason. That Donald Trump is entirely unpredictable. It is possible that Trump could end the war in Ukraine with a wave of his hand. It is possible that Donald Trump could end the endless support for Israel in the Middle East because of his peculiar and over-close relationship with the Saudi royal family. It is possible. It's also possible that he could do the opposite of all of these things. It's also possible that he could bomb Russia, that he could bomb China. That is also possible. But the point is, nobody can know what Donald Trump will do. It is entirely unpredictable. He is entirely unpredictable. And they don't like that in the deep state with the real power and power brokers in the United States. They need someone on whom they can rely for business as usual. And the business of America is no longer business. The business of America is now war. War throughout the world. And war against the targets picked by the deep state, by the real power in the United States of America. And Trump doesn't fit the bill, unpredictable as he is. Whether any or all of this will save the Palestinian people from the fate which has befallen them is open to question. One thing is sure, a full-scale war between Hezbollah and Israel is already underway. Hezbollah is destroying parts of the Iron Dome. It is raining down missiles at will on parts of the state of Israel as far away as Haifa, the entire northern coast, the Galilee, not to mention, of course, the northern Israeli territories, southern Lebanese territories contested for so long between these two parties. The scale of the Israeli response is just now becoming clear. Children, women, civilians are being dragged out of burning buildings, out from underneath the rubble. The old familiar scenes that you become so wearied and distressed by from Gaza over the last 8 months are now happening right now, this evening in Lebanon. The Lebanese are promising that they may turn the tables in the whole world. They may overturn the entire apple cart. That tells me that they've got secret weapons. That tells me they've got the capacity to hit places that have never been hit before. That tells me that the fire right now in the Israeli Knesset was caused by them. That tells me that the Israeli nuclear arms battery, arms arsenal, nuclear weapons, hundreds of them, at Dimona, in the Negev, are very much in the sights of the Lebanese resistance, Hezbollah. If that happens, of course, we are truly in a major all-out war in the region, from the Levant to the edge of West Asia, from the Mediterranean to the Gulf. And that war inevitably, ineluctably, must draw in the superpowers, must draw in America, must draw in Russia, must draw in China. This is the most perilous moment in international affairs ever in the history of humanity. and I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis. We are at an inflection point in world affairs. None of these grand geopolitical musings are, of course, of consequence for the people in Gaza. Least not for the baby I saw in the mouth of a dog this afternoon. That's right. This afternoon I saw a dog carrying a dead baby in its mouth. The dogs in Gaza are feasting on the bodies of the children, the women, the fathers and grandfathers of those children are being eaten by dogs. 65 were murdered yesterday. Hundreds more were maimed. There is no hospital at which they can be treated. The borders are entirely sealed. They have no water, no electricity, no food, no medicine, no hospitals, and their jailers, the keepers of their concentration camp, are conducting mass murder amongst them. Mass murder, most foul and fueled by us, our governments, our taxes, in some cases our own armed forces. In the massacres in Rafah this week, there were Royal Air Force airplanes up in the sky spotting for Netanyahu's murder gang, identifying targets, spying for the Israeli mass murderers. We are deeply complicit in the worst thing that has ever been seen in human history. Not the worst thing that has ever happened. There are many things. The partition of India, the Vietnam War, the destruction of Cambodia, and many other places, many other things have been worse in quantum, but not in consequence. And the difference is this is being seen. We didn't see these other horrors. We are watching in real time on our telephones, and so are our children watching the mass murder in Gaza. It has inflamed and moved and mobilized uncountable millions of people all over the world. It is a factor in the American presidential elections, and my goodness, is it a factor here in ours. There's not much to say about little Rishi Sunak, except he's smaller even than you think he is. Smaller in every way. But Daddy Pig, Keir Starmer, is in serious trouble as a result of the Gaza conflict. He expected, and might well have been expected, to harvest the huge election victory that the opinion polls predicted. Except his campaign has blown up in his face. His removal, his attempt to choke the life out of one of the most iconic black figures in British political history, Diane Abbott, tried to bounce her out, tried to force her out of politics, leaked that she might take a place in the House of Lords, which she abhors, and has completely denied any possibility that she might accept the ermine. Diane Abbott is fighting on, and Starmer has had to back down. But in Ian Duncan Smith's constituency of Chingford and Woodford, the defenestration of the Labour candidate when she was out campaigning in her election campaign because she liked a post on Facebook put up by the Jewish American host of The Daily Show, Jon Stewart. For American viewers, I'm not making this up. The woman who was poised to win a landslide victory, a young Muslim mother of young children who was ready to win a landslide victory over the former leader of the Conservative Party, has been axed because she liked a Facebook post put up by an American Jewish comedian, Jon Stewart of The Daily Show. That's where politics in Britain has reached. If you like a post even if that post is written by a Jew, which in any way exhibits any sympathy or compassion for that Palestinian baby in the mouth of that dog in Gaza, you are finished in British Labour politics. Well, millions of people cannot vote for a Labour Party like that. Millions of people are not going to vote for a Labour Party like that. That's why I'm facing the next 6 weeks with increased confidence. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night because it is the mother of all talk shows.